He's on the horn right now with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I know you guys are shocked that the cab driver got it right. The cab driver got it before me. Not only did you get it right, but the cab driver got it right. Well, he drove me to the airport recently.
Okay.
Mike Gottfried is up at our studios in Connecticut, and Coach responsible for bringing Reuben Brown to Pittsburgh initially, so you've had your eye on him for a long time.
Well, Chris, what a lot of college coaches like to do is recruit defensive linemen in high school, because if they don't make it on defense, you can always move them to offense. You can't go the other way most of the time. In Reuben Brown, we get a good player here for the Buffalo Bills. He has versatility at the guard and tackle position. Here you see him at a guard spot, pulling down the line, blocking the outside linebacker. He has excellent feet. Reuben Brown also can be a left tackle. Now remember, most quarterbacks right-handed. You want to protect the blind side of the quarterback. He's a very good pass blocker. And what also you like in Reuben Brown is he delivers the first blow. He comes off the ball. You see him right here at the left side. Just comes off the ball, is able to get the block and control the line of scrimmage. I think it's a very good pick by Buffalo, Chris, but I'll tell you also, I like Ellis Johnson. I think Ellis Johnson, with the premium on defensive lineman, Ellis Johnson has to go very, very quickly. Has to go to Chris Fowler at Buffalo.
Well, Mike, offensive line, certainly one of the areas the Bills wanted to address. Marv Levy joins me. You got the guy you wanted there.
Well, he certainly was a player we had rated highest on the board at this stage, Chris, and we're very happy. We had Reuben rated high all along. It is an area where we have needs, so we're very pleased with our selection.
You and your general manager, John Butler, have said all along the guy you get in this slot has to be a difference maker. It's not the old George Allen philosophy you use where you draft a rookie and sit him on the bench. Can Brown come in and be a difference maker right away?
Well, you don't really find that out until you go to training camp, of course, but young players are going to have to play much sooner. We're drafting higher than we've drafted in several years, so the opportunity to do so is there. And we're certainly bringing him in with the thought in mind that we're not going to sit him down and groom him for several years. If he's ready to go, we're going to get him in there.
Brown started his career at Pittsburgh as a defensive tackle, moved to offensive tackle there. Do you see him as a guard?
Well, right now, it's important, I think, that you take a young player and put him in one place only. Reuben Brown, we think, is capable of playing any of the line positions. But the likelihood is, we'll talk it further over with our offensive staff, that we'd put him in at guard for this year and not encumber his thinking with a lot of other positions.
We talked yesterday. You said you'd very much like to get maybe a quarterback of the future if that's possible. You know, you want Jim Kelly to play a couple more years. Is that where the emphasis now shifts for the second-round pick at 45?
Well, I wouldn't say that that's the case. Everybody would like to get their quarterback of the future, and we have a lot of needs along the way. Quarterback is one of them. I'm going to have to talk to that cab driver first, by the way, and see who we should pick in the second round.
Well, the Bills have helped their offensive line, which gave up 41 sacks last year, certainly addressing a need. Boomer?
All right, Coach, and Chris, one little note. Thurman Thomas is getting married today in Buffalo. He just got an additional wedding present. Reuben Brown will be one of the men who will block for him in the years to come. Congratulations, Thurman. Congratulations to Reuben Brown. And we'll be back with the Colts and then the Jets. Stay with us.
Maybe you shouldn't watch this.
Hi, man, get off me. Y'all been nosy now.
But if you're not afraid, call this number now to get into pro football's private world with this exclusive new video, Total Access 95. Plus, you'll also catch this officially licensed NFL football, both free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. With Total Access, you go wherever you want.
Going into every room with a camera.
You'll hear things you shouldn't.
This movie is rated R. No, you're wrong. Adult language. Gotcha, dang it. Doggone it.
You'll know when things go wrong.
We need another receiver. Oh, boy. But that ain't my fault, Coach. Oh, man.
You'll have Total Access and a great football free when you order 54 issues for only $1.47 an issue. Save over 50% off the cover price. Use your credit card. Call now to get Total Access and your NFL football both free from SI. There is nothing in the world like Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
ESPN wants you to feel the rush of IndyCar racing. Enter the ESPN Legend Return Sweepstakes, sponsored by Firestone, and you could go to the Indy 500 as a member of the Patrick Racing Team. Runners-up get Firestone Firehawk tires or racing jackets. To enter, visit any Firestone tire retailer or send a postcard to the ESPN Legend Return Sweepstakes, P.O. Box 518, Hermosa Beach, California, 90254. The ESPN Legend Return Sweepstakes, sponsored by Firestone.
We are back at the Paramount Theater in New York, close to 3 hours in what's been an eventful, certainly at the top, and then a couple of intriguing moves today, which you're watching the crawl underneath my chin probably all day long. Next on the clock are the two teams that win spelling bees. C-O-L-T-S, Colts, 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 and J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's go down to a team that's a little harder to spell, not that much, the Panthers. And Chris Mortensen, the Indianapolis Colts have built what looks like a nice defense, but they've had some injuries to Empman and Trev Alberts. What's everyone's status on that team right now?
Well, I think there's a lot going on with Indianapolis right now, Chris. For one, let's just go ahead and say it. The trade between the Buccaneers and the Colts is final. The Indianapolis Colts acquire Craig Erickson, quarterback from the Buccaneers, for next year's #1 pick. In return, the Colts are about to enter negotiations with Craig Erickson. His agent, Ralph Sindrich, will go there Tuesday. They've already agreed on the parameters of a $2 million plus deal. Bob Irsay, the Colts owner, wants to get personally involved with this. I have no doubt that Indianapolis is getting a lot of phone calls right now about this pick. For instance, Tyrone Wheatley, Rashawn Salam, two premier running backs still on the board. The Raiders have to be looking at this pick. The Chicago Bears, with some extra picks acquired in some trades with Miami, also have to be talking about this pick. So, yes, it makes sense that Indianapolis goes with the defensive player, but I guarantee you the phone is ringing off the hook.
Ardmore, thank you. So Erickson now, the quarterback, Mel, that the Colts, I guess, have been looking for. We'll hold off on that just a moment.
Briefly.
What about the defense? I mean, Empman was a great player, but who knows his status now? Trev Albert, ESPN 2's Trev Alberts, he came in and played late. Coriat's a heck of a player. They got Marshall Falk. This is a team that is not that far from being a pretty good football team.
No, they aren't, Chris, and I think they made a great step getting Erickson. We'll get to that later. But defensive line, let's take a look at it. You got Bernard Whittington, who's basically a journeyman type. McCoy, who played at Florida, did a nice job. Saragusa was a former free agent, undrafted free agent out of Pitt. Tony Bennett, who's kind of a combination guy, 9 sacks coming off that corner. Then you have Steve Empman coming back from the injury, and an aging Freddie Joe Nunn, who's near the end of the trail. They really need some defensive help at that position. Ellis Johnson, Luther Ellis, both there. You also have some pretty good DBs, Tyrone Poole and Bobby Taylor on the board as well.
Yeah, we have not gone DB at all. We've had only one linebacker gone, and we've only had the one running back gone. So, and only 2 offensive linemen. So those positions are available. Let's see what the Colts have done. Let's go up to the podium at Commissioner Paul Tagliabue.
With the 15th pick in the first round, the Indianapolis Colts select defensive tackle from Florida, Ellis Johnson. The next selection will be made by the New York Jets with a choice acquired from Arizona. The Jets are now on the clock.
Well, the Colts continue to stockpile that defense in addition to the Marshall Falk pick. Ellis Johnson, a solid. You wonder with Ellis Johnson at Carter in Florida last year, how anybody moved the ball at all on the ground. Let's go up to the coach and talk about Ellis Johnson. And he's a player that looks to be just solid across the board, right, Coach?
Chris, I really agree. You know, he can be a nose guard in the 30 defense, or he can be a defensive tackle in the 4-3, and he really finishes off. A lot of teams really liked him. Let's take a look at Ellis Johnson. Explosion off the ball. Same thing we said about Warren Sapp and the defensive lineman. First step, being able to get to Jay Barker of Alabama right off the bat. You want a defensive tackle to win a high percentage of one-on-one blocks. Here, Ellis Johnson just takes apart the guard at LSU, makes the tackle. Ellis Johnson also has a lot of agility to go down the line of scrimmage and make plays. Here he'll go down the line of scrimmage, make the tackle on the Alabama tailback. Ellis Johnson, I think, is a great pick for Indianapolis. I really think that they have really helped themselves in their defense.
All right, Mike, we're sorry we're leaving you all alone up there. We want you down here with us. Ellis Johnson, Mel, now with the Colts. Pretty good value for a pick at 15, Ellis Johnson, don't you think?
I think it's a real good pick. I think, you know, Bill Tobin stuck to his productive major college theory, and took Ellis Johnson, is going to fit in very well. The interesting thing is, with Ellis Johnson, when you look at the productivity, 26 quarterback pressures, and that's with Kevin Carter on the other side. That's a dominant tandem. He was, as Chris has said, very steady on or around the line of scrimmage. And another thing, you know, Bill Tobin had said, you know, before the combine that he downgrades heavily players that don't work out at the combine, trying to send a message to these kids to work out. Then he drafts the kid Ellis Johnson, who lifted at the combine, did 25 reps, but did not run and did not jump vertically. So, you know, you say one thing, you do another. That's not the message you want to send to kids. So you're better off not saying anything.
You know, the only other thing, Boom, one thing that I like about Johnson here is the fact that in the 3 years he was at Florida, he only missed 2 games. And that's been a big problem, I think, for the Indianapolis Colts up front. They just haven't been able to keep people healthy. They look like they've got a kid now who not only can play for him and play well, but also line up every Sunday. That's a big key for the Colts up front.
This is starting to be a very interesting team under Teddy Marchibroda. J-E-T-S, Jets, 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 with their second first-round pick. O-line, DB, or another surprise. We'll be back.
Even though it's shorter on the outside, we designed the new Cavalier to be the roomiest car in its class on the inside. In fact, we gave it so much more room that it moved up to a larger EPA class. Well, fortunately, they can't make us give it a big price. After all, the new Cavalier is a genuine Chevrolet.
When traffic congestion changes, the threats to your car's engine change. That's why Quaker State has engineered intelligent oil. Oil that senses the changing threats in your engine and adapts its own molecular structure for continuous protection. So whenever the driving conditions change, so does Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
Now you can change to the intelligent oil and save $3.60 on a case of Quaker State. See store display for details.
What guy hasn't experienced it? You couldn't be happier. You're absolutely devoted. And boom, something goes wrong. So you start saying, that's it, no more, because I'll never feel the same way again. But you know what? Time passes and you feel different, and boom, you're back together. Come on, make up. Opening day, don't miss it, because you'll only hate yourself if you do. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but someday you'll be in the car and you go, boom, what the hell happened there?
Welcome back to New York. Chris Berman, Joe Theismann, Mel Kiper, and a cast of thousands around the country. And we hope you're enjoying watching wherever you are. The Jets fans we were shocked with Kyle Brady when they got that pick earlier in the first round.
Here it comes.
Here comes the second pick in the first round. D-tackle, defensive back, a surprise, Hugh Douglas, which will be a pass rusher to replace the Loggeman spot. We shall see.
Yeah, but you know, Donald Evans may be moving outside. Maybe a Luther Ellis as a tackle to shore it up inside.
With the 16th choice in the first round, the New York Jets select defensive end from Central State of Ohio, Hugh Douglas.
Well, let me tell you, they don't know who he is.
Next choice to be made by the New York Giants.
They don't know who he is. But Mel, Brady and Douglas, not where you thought they'd go, but two really intriguing players in this draft.
Well, there's really not a lot of difference between Kyle Brady and Mike Mamula, who went a lot earlier. This was the Hula Bowl game that allowed him to push his way into the first round. We see him here. He's playing up, but he's at the line of scrimmage. Plays through the block, great speed, runs at 4.58. And what the question's going to be is where are you going to use him? Can he play in reverse? See him upfield again, getting into the backfield. That's what he did. He was a speed guy who played down and up on the line of scrimmage at Central State. See him there, number 53. A low level of competition. He could fight through a block very easily. In the NFL, he's going to have to make some adjustments. But the thing is, Chris, with a guy like Hugh Douglas, just like as with Mike Mamula, you're going to have to use him as a pass rusher and accentuate his ability to get upfield. And certainly when you look at computer numbers of Hugh Douglas, 255 pounds, 4.58 speed, big kid, 4.73 at the combine, which is a slow track. That's a great 40 time. Tremendous strength, which gives him the ability to play stronger and play bigger than his size indicates. 32 vertical is also pretty good as well. So a guy that I think at the Hula Bowl, then during workouts, pushed his way up. He had 16 sacks this year for Central State. Same school that produced Vince Buck